பெருமதிப்புக்குரிய பெரியோர்களுக்கு தாய்மார்களுக்கும் சகோதரர்களுக்கும் என் ஒளியின் கணித முதல் கண்ணவனுக்கு தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கின்றேன். காலன் சென்ற திரு ஸ்ரீனிவாஸ் கணேஷ் அவர்களுக்கு பிரார்த்தனை ஆரம்பித்த போது தயவு செய்து நீங்கள் எல்லோரும் முன்னவனே யானே முகத்தவனே முத்தினலம் சொன்னவனே தூய்மை சுகத்தவனே மன்னவனே சிற்பரனே ஐங்கரனே சென்சடையும் சேகரனே தற்பரனே நின்றா சரணம் 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 உலகலாமுணர்ந்து உனக்கு எறியவள் நீல ஓலாவிய நீர்மணிவேணியல் உலகலாமுணர்ந்து ஓதக்கு அறியவள் நீல ஓலாவியல் நீர்மணிவேணியல் ஆலகள் சோம் அம்பலத்தில் ஆடுவாள் மாலத்திலம் படி ஆசி வணங்குவார் மாலத்திலம் படி பாசி வணங்குவார் அன்னை பிதாவே முன் அறிந்த தெய்வம் ஆழன தோணுவது சாதவுணன் அன்னை பிதாவே முன் அறிந்த தெய்வம் ஆழன தோணுவது சாலவுணன் ஊனகலாமுணர்ந்து ஊதக்கேறியவள் நீல ஊலாவியல் நீர்மணிவேணியல் ஆனகள் சோதியல் அம்பலத்தில் ஆடுவார் மாலக்கிளம் படி பாஸ்தி வணங்குவார் மாலக்கிளம் படி பாஸ்தி வணங்குவார் அன்னை பிதாவே முன் அறிந்த தெய்வம் ஆடன தோடுவது சாலமுணன் அன்னை பிதாவே முன் அறிந்த தெய்வம் ஆழன தோடுவது சாலமுணன் உலகலா அகரமணிய ஆனந்த சேவனமணிய ஊகரமணிய விஷ்ணுவியாபரணித்யமணிய மகரமணிய யகரமணநாத மோகரணிய துணைய அன்புமே துன்புமே துறைக்கும் துணைய நிர்லிங்காணிய துணைய காலன் சென்னை கணேஷ் அவர்களுக்கு அவராத்மவும் நற்கரிவும் மகாசாந்தியும் கிரியசாந்தியும் யோக சாந்தியும் தனசாந்தியும் தேவாயமோ யாவருக்கும் நன்றி வணக்கம். Thank you ladies and gentlemen. Dear family and friends, the Ganesh family extends the sincere thanks, appreciation and gratitude to one and all of you for making your presence here this evening, and to all who have helped in any little way during the course of this bereavement. May Mother Saraswati grant each one of your families health, wealth, knowledge and prosperity. We've gathered here this evening to pay tribute to this divine soul, Thiru Sreenivos, Ganesh, who had been with us for 55 years. We pray to the Almighty to give this bereaved family strength and courage to overcome this loss, to pray to Lord Shiva Peruman to grant a moksha to this divine soul. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a number of requests during the course of this memorial service. We humbly ask each and every one of you to please observe silence. Those of you that know the hymns may please join in.
இன்ப விநாயகனே விநாயகனே ஏழல் மலர் பாதம் பணிந்தேனே இன்ப விநாயகனே ஏழல் மலர் பாதம் பணிந்தேனே இன்ப விநாயகனே அன்பவர் சோலையில் அமர்ந்திடும் அரசே அன்பவர் சோலையில் அமர்ந்திடும் அரசே அன்பவர் சோலையில் அமர்ந்திடும் அரசே ஆதாரும் நீயே ஆண்டருள்வாயே ஆதாரும் நீயே ஆண்டருள்வாயே இன்ப விநாயகனே மலர் பாதம் பணிந்தேனே இன்ப விநாயகனே தினமும் அருள் புகழ் நினைந்திடல் வேண்டும் தினமும் அருள் புகழ் நினைந்திடல் வேண்டும் தினமும் அருள் புகழ் நினைந்திடல் வேண்டும் நெருங்கும் சொல்வன் ஆலயல் விடியே இன்ப விநாயகனே ஏழல் மலர் பாதம் பணிந்தேனே இன்ப விநாயகனே அபிராமியே எங்கள் அபிராமியே அபிராமியே எங்கள் அபிராமியே அன்னை பராசக்தி அபிராமியே அன்னை பராசக்தி அபிராமியே அபிராமியே எங்கள் அபிராமியே ஆபிமாண்டம் கொண்டோர்க்கும் சிவகாமி ஆவேசம் கொண்டாடும் நவகாமி ஆனந்தம் கொண்டாடும் காசிமதி அகிலும் கொண்டாடும் பார்வதியே அபிராமியே எங்கள் அபிராமியே அன்னை பராசக்தி அபிராமியே அபிராமியே எங்கள் அபிராமியே பல்பாணமயல் கற்பகமே பாடல் நாம் காட்டியும் அற்புதமே சொல்லிடுத்தாள் நீவள் மங்களேஸ்வரி வெள்ளிடுத்தாள் நீவள் சாமுண்டேஸ்வரி சொல்லிடுத்தாள் நீவள் மங்களேஸ்வரி வெள்ளிடுத்தாள் நீவள் சாமுண்டேஸ்வரி அபிராமியே எங்கள் அபிராமியே அன்னை பராசக்தி அபிராமியே அபிராமியே எங்கள் அபிராமியே தாமரையில் இவ தனலட்சுமி பூமலையே இவளே புவனேஸ்வரி தாமரையில் இவ தனலட்சுமி பூமலையே இவளே புவனேஸ்வரி வீணை கொண்டிடு கொங்களே மகளே வீட்டுக்கு வீரோளே மகளே மேலான காட்சியும் காமாட்சி மேர்மையான காட்சியும் விசாலாட்சி மேதனையோ புகழும் மதுரை மீனாட்சி மீனாட்சி மேதனையோ புகழும் மதுரை மீனாட்சி மீனாட்சி அபிராமியே எங்கள் அபிராமியே அன்னை பராசக்தி அபிராமியே அபிராமியே எங்கள் அபிராமியே ஓம் நம சிவாய ஓம் நம சிவாய சிவாய ஓம் நம சிவாய ஓம் நம சிவாய சிவாய நம ஓம் நமோ நமோ நடராஜ ஓம் நம சிவாய சிவாய நம ஓம் நமோ நமோ நடராஜ ஓம் நம சிவாய சிவாய நம ஓம் நம சிவாய சிவாய நம ஓம் நம சிவாய ஓம் நம சிவாய ஓம் நம சிவாய ஓம் நம சிவாய பெற்ற தாய் தந்தை மகமறந்தாலும் பிள்ளையே பேரும் தாய் மறந்தாலும் பெற்ற தாய் தந்தை மகமறந்தாலும் பிள்ளையே பேரும் தாய் மறந்தாலும் ஊற்று தேகத்தை உயர் மறந்தாலும் ஊற்று தேகத்தை உயர் மறந்தாலும் ஓம் நம சிவாய ஓம் நம சிவாய ஓம் நம சிவாய ஓம் நம சிவாய கற்ற நிர்ஜகம் களை மறந்தாலும் கண்களில் ரீமிப்பது மறந்தாலும் கற்ற நிர்ஜகம் களை மறந்தாலும் கண்களில் ரீமிப்பது மறந்தாலும் நத்துவத்து வேறு உளிர்ந்த ஓங்கும் நமச்சிவாயத்தை நான் மறவேனே நம சிவாய ஓம் நம சிவாய ஓம் நம சிவாய ஓம் நம சிவாய முருகா 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 சின்ன பனி துளி நான் முருகா மின்னும் கதிரொளி நீ உன்னை பணிவதல்லால் வேறு என்ன முடியும் ஐயா சின்ன பனி துளி நான் முருகா தாவி விரும்பலி நான் முருகா தாங்கும் அருட்கடல் நீ தாவி விழுமலி நான் முருகா தாங்கும் அருட்கடல் நீ நீல புனல் நீ செய்தால் அலைகள் நிலைத்து விழுங்கும் ஐயா 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 பண்ண பசுங்கிலி நான் முருகா உன்னை தரும் நீளம் நீ வண்ண பசுங்கிலி நான் முருகா மின்னை தரும் நீளம் நீ எல்ல பறவைக்குமே விண்ணில் இருப்பிடம் இல்லை ஐயா 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 கணமேனுவாராயன் தெய்வமே கண்ணார கண்டான் போதுமே முருகான கடித்தேர ஒரு பாடு வருவாயே கணவள்ளவாறு சொல்வாயே கடித்தேர
Ladies and gentlemen, once again the Ganesh family, extend the sincere thanks, appreciation, and gratitude to one and all of you for making your presence here this evening, and to all who have helped in any little way during the course of this brief. May Mother Saraswati grant each one of you and your families health, wealth, knowledge, and prosperity. Our dear brother Sreenivos Ganesh, who has been with us for 55 years, leaves behind his brother Matthew, his mother Govindama, sisters Dawn, Sharon, Surya, Vinay, brother-in-laws Vish, Mark, and Ushad, a future wife, Nisha, relatives, host of relatives, friends, and neighbors. Ladies and gentlemen, I now call upon the members of the family. Thereafter, the relatives, friends, and neighbors can please come forward and offer your Dubaradhane.
மலர் சுடராய் முனிவராய் தேவராய் செல்லாரணில்லும் சிவபொருள் நம்ம தேவாமை மகனாரன் தாழ்வான் இவி பொருளும் நீங்க அதான் தாழ்வான் நம சிவாய வாழ்க நோதல் சிவபெருமானே சிவபெருமானே எல்லாருக்கும் நீ தெய்வம் சிவபெருமானே 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 எல்லாருக்கும் நீ தெய்வம் சிவபெருமானே அன்னை தந்தை குரு தெய்வம் நீயே அன்னை தந்தை குரு தெய்வம் நீயே ஆண்டவனே நீ அருள் செய்வாயே ஆண்டவனே நீ அருள் செய்வாயே அன்னை தந்தை குரு தெய்வம் நீயே ஆண்டவனே நீ அருள் செய்வாயே ஆண்டவனே நீ அருள் சிவபெருமானே எல்லாருக்கும் நீ தெய்வம் சிவபெருமானே உன்னையே நாங்கள் வேண்டுமையா உன்னையே நாங்கள் வேண்டுமையா உலகே தெய்வமே நீவா உலகே தெய்வமே நீவாவா சிவபெருமானே சிவபெருமானே எல்லாருக்கும் நீ தெய்வம் சிவபெருமானே எல்லாருக்கும் நீ தெய்வம் சிவபெருமானே எல்லாருக்கும் நீ தெய்வம் சிவபெருமானே சிவாய நமோ சிவாய நமோ சிவாய நமோ சிவாய நமோ திருவண மொழியா திருசுட ஒளியா திருவண மொழியா திருசுட ஒளியா வீரனும் வீரனும் பணியும் திவாயா வீரனும் வீரனும் பணியும் திவாயா லிங்கேஸ்வராய பரதேசகாய லிங்கேஸ்வராய பரதேசகாய அருட்பெரும் ஜோதி நம சிவாய அருட்பெரும் ஜோதி நம சிவாய சிவாய நமோ சிவாய நமோ சிவாய நமோ சிவாய நமோ பார்க்கடல் வீசித்தே யோகை மாதே பார்க்கடல் வீசித்தே யோகை மாதே அணைப்பதும் அணைப்பதும் உம் கையில் அல்லாமல் அணைத்திட வேண்டும் அம்பல தாண்டவா ஆண்டவனே ஆயிரம் ஆயிரம் விதை இருந்தாலும் எல்லா பிரியம் நினையா பிரியம் நினைந்தடத்தை தொல்லா பிரியம் துரியா பிரியம் தோழா பிரியம் எல்லா பிறைகளையும் பொருட்கருவாய் இறைவாய் கட்சியே அருப்பெரும் ஜோதி தனி பெரும் கருணை அருப்பெரும் ஜோதி தென்னாடுடைய சிவனே போற்றி என் நாட்க பெரும் இறைவா போற்றி.
யாவருக்கும் நன்றி, வணக்கம். Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You may be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, there's an humble request from the family members. These refreshments have been especially provided for you. Please partake before you leave this hall. May you have a safe journey home. Nandri, vanakkam.
நான் என்றும் மாறாத தனியினமே எந்தன் குரலில் இனிப்பதெல்லாம் கந்தன் குரலே இன்பம் தந்து காப்பதெல்லாம் கந்தன் அருளே எந்தன் குரலில் இனிப்பதெல்லாம் கந்தன் குரலே. தமிழ் பாடுவது புது சுகமே அதில் காண்பதெல்லாம் கந்தன் கவிநயமே. கன்னி தமிழ் பாடுவது புது சுகமே அதில் காண்பதெல்லாம் கந்தன் கவிநயமே. என்னையே தந்து விட்டேன் கந்தனிடமே என்னையே தந்து விட்டேன் கந்தனிடமே அவன் என்ன செய்தாலும் எனக்கு
Vanakkam. Ladies and gentlemen, I think most of us know that this evening's procedure is to clear the path for our brother's soul to rest with God. But I also believe it is a time that we can celebrate Kenny's life. So in that respect, I'm going to ask you to appreciate that Kenny had many facets to his life. And I'm going to try and navigate through different aspects of his life so we can appreciate the kind of person Kenny was and still lives in us. As a youngster, like many boys, he was naughty. And I think I mentioned this at the funeral as well. On Saturday morning, he'll come to the morning market in Durban, borrow a pin from his mum, and anybody who stands in his way, he'll use a pin to poke them in the buttocks and make his way through. He spent many weekends with us in Mount Edgecombe, and after he had finished matric, he also studied through UNISA, and he assisted me with economics assignments, which he used to do and call me when I was teaching in the Potchefstroom, give me the answers, and that's how I managed to pass economics together with himself as well. While in Potchefstroom, I decided to play a prank on him. And it was the early days of the Tricam system, when Mr. Rajbansi came into power. So I had prepared a military call-up notice and left it behind with some of my pupils in Potchefstroom and asked them to send it to Kenny with a pre-populated envelope and all necessary documentation to be sent a week after I had left Potchefstroom. But of course, Kenny was with us in the meantime. I think his sister Dawn called, said, Kenny, there's some mail for you here, and you need to come fetch it urgently. So he fetched the mail, opened it, and found that it was a military call-up. Now the reason I did that was simply this. He could spot a beard, and I couldn't. and I wanted him to shave his beard, but he will not do that. So the military call-up was very specific. Must be clean shaven, hair must be cut very short, and he straight away said, Rajan, it's your doing. I had to convince him it wasn't me. And the only way to convince him was he had to take all of his documentation and go to the police station. And I said, Rajan, you take me to the police station. We did that, got everything certified, and he was now convinced it was not me. But then again he said, but Rajan, I'm sure it's you. I said, Kenny, listen, if you don't believe it's me, not a problem. The letter says clearly, if you do not respond, the military police, the MPs will come and fetch you. That scared him like hell. Of course, his French got very, very fluent thereafter. And when my late granny asked him, what's wrong, Kenny? He started swearing in Tamil. He said, this Rajbansi came into power, and see, he's got nothing else to do but send us Indians to the army now. That's all we need. And he had completed the forms, had it all sealed and ready, and then my cousin Thamu comes to visit. And Thamu was wondering, why is Kenny so subdued? So he asks Kenny, what's wrong? Hey, Tham, you know what? This Rajbansi is really causing havoc for us Chauros, man. He got military call-up. Thamu was like, from where? Pachistrum. Thamu said, Kenny, you're studying BCom. Don't be stupid. You know it's Rajan's doing. And Thamu, using steam, opened the envelope. And Kenny was quite angry. How can you break the seal? And Thamu read that. And again, Thamu trying to convince him it was Rajan's doing. He was not taking that. And then he turned around to Thamu, you're a teacher, a qualified teacher, and you can't understand this. How do you expect me to go now with the MPs coming through? And towards Christmas, I decided to let the cat out of the bag. And I told him, Kenny, I sent it. He said, no, Rajan, you just make me feel good so we can have a good Christmas. I said, no. I'm telling you I sent it through to you. He didn't believe me until I showed him photocopies. And instead of getting angry with me, he said, let's celebrate Christmas. So we celebrated Christmas, and early in the next year, he tried to get back at me. I met a young lady from Mount Edgecombe, and I told him about it. He went to his home in Phoenix. He phoned and he impersonated the father of that girl, or young lady. He said, may I speak to Mr. Rajan Dorasamy, please? I said, speaking. He said, what are your intentions with my daughter? I said, who's your daughter? Oh, you got so many girlfriends now. I said, Kenny, it's you. He said, who's this fella, Kenny? Call him out and talk to him as well. You seem to have accomplice. And he had me hanging for a while to say, I know where you live. I'm coming to your house. So I had to tell him, listen, don't worry, I will come to your house. And finally let the cat out of the bag, saying that it was him. Of course, that kind of prank he played throughout while he was in Johannesburg. But having stayed in Durban, he realized that he was not getting anywhere. How he managed to secure a job in what's now called Polokwane. No relatives, no contacts, no friends, 2 buses. I don't even remember the Greyhound and the Translux buses used to travel from Durban to Johannesburg. From Durban to Johannesburg, and Johannesburg from the Rotunda, take another bus and go to Polokwane. And when he used to come back to Durban, 2 buses back to Durban, he'll phone me, he said, please pick me up from Durban Central at 8, 9 in the night. And he's going back, 10 in the night. I was going to leave him at the bus terminus, and that's the risk he took. But in so doing, he honed his skills in become a very astute financial manager, to an extent where he secured a job with Bradlow's. And while at Bradlow's, I became the beneficiary of his success as well, where he said to me, Rajan, I see you don't have a television set. I will offer you my staff discount. I gave him the money, and he brought it down when he bought his vehicle. But that kind of camaraderie didn't stop there. Despite the fact that he had his own vehicle, he had his own thing going, my brothers Chris and Lenny and my sister Vasi, all 3 of them told him they wanted to buy cars at different times of the years, obviously. And he went out of his way, solicited the vehicle, good vehicles, transferred the money into his account, and he bought the vehicle and brought it down at his cost. and he traveled back by bus. That's the sacrifice he was prepared to make for family and friends. In terms of his integrity, second to none. Like I said to you, we used to transfer large sums of money into his account, and he was able to account for every cent. Of course, he got promoted from there, so he got a job with Colgate International. And at Colgate International, starting from the bottom of the rung, he managed to work himself up to a brand manager, to an extent where he used to travel the world. But he also wanted his family to share in his benefits. He had married his school sweetheart, Deborah, and he went to his director saying, next time I'm going to New York, I'd like to take my wife along with. So the director asked him, how will this cost the company? Or what would it cost the company? He said, if anything, I'll be saving you money. So the director wanted to know how. He said, when I travel, it's business class, and the ticket costs something about 30,000 rands. Whereas if I take my wife with, I am prepared to compromise and fly economy class. And in so doing, for 2 tickets, it costs 20,000 rands. So if anything, I'll be saving the company money. And for accommodation, they had company accommodation in New York. For his meals, he said he will pay for that. So he made the sacrifice in terms of flying from business class to economy class, just so that Deborah could also benefit from his success. Of course, in his desire to achieve great heights, it came at a cost. He used to work till like 10, 11 in the night and go to work on Sunday mornings as well. So much so that Anglo-Val saw the potential in Kenny, and they offered him a job that he couldn't refuse. But he wasn't Anglo-Val for long, because Colgate International wanted him back, and they offered him a package again that he couldn't refuse. Unfortunately, the trip to India in 2010 is when his health took a turn for the worse. And he's been battling with his health since then, up until this year. But despite that, he found time to keep in contact with all family members and friends, both on his mother's side and his father's side. So much so that when he visited the elderly, and that you got to admire among the youngsters of this day, he used to speak to them in vernacular. If you listen to him talking Tamil, sometimes I would want to laugh, because, you know, we're not the best of speakers in Tamil, but that didn't deter him. That was his vernacular, and he wanted to be at best at it. And he used to do so as well. Despite his busy schedule, whenever he came down to Durban, for however long, he ensured that he visited as many family members and friends as possible. And sometimes he used to come and visit me like 6, 7 in the evening. And I'll say, hey, Kenny, it's gone 2 in the morning. I've got to go to work tomorrow. Like, yarra. And he'll carry on talking. And I've been reminded recently that Kenny loved to talk. And I know Colin Dorosamy once said, in our family, that's my father's side now, there are 2 people who are very talkative. That's Tamu and Rajan. But of course, Kenny put me to shame. We used to talk of various aspects, but not necessarily agreeing. And sometimes we used to get into arguments, so much so that my wife had to come and intervene and say, hey, what's going on? And he laughed, like, no, don't worry, Suraj. He was just chatting. So we did not agree on everything, but we maintained a very cordial relationship, not as first cousins, but as friends. Despite his busy schedule, he managed to get as large variety of songs of different genre and different languages as well. English, Tamil, Gujarati music, devotional songs. And if you had to ask him for any particular song to befit a certain occasion, he was able to do so on the turn. It is argued that the light that burns twice as bright burns half as long. And nothing resonates more than with Kenny's life. He shone bright, but at the tender age of 55, he was called to rest. But I think his memory lives on. And even up to now, we cannot believe that he is late. But if you had met with him in the recent few months, you'll realize that despite the fact that we wanted him to have lived on, that he is now resting and in a better place. Kenny, journey well traveled. Rest well, my brother. Thank you. Welcome.
Dear family and friends, our dear brother leaves behind his son Matthew. I said brother, so my apologies for that. He has a son by the name of Matthew. Ladies and gentlemen, we have another tribute by Michelle Kopp. I call upon Michelle Kopp to be Mr. Michelle Kopp.
Good evening, everyone. Where do I start? So I think what I'll try to do is share, various memories that I had of Kenny at different parts of my life. I feel I spent a lot of time with him as I was growing up, and so maybe if I talk about maybe the first 5-10 years of my life as a small kid, my fondest memories of Kenny will always be around cars. I think the first sort of toy car I had was this blue Mercedes that I used to drive around, and I always thought that it was Kenny that bought it for me, and so I always think that Kenny bought me my first car. I was very small, and Kenny used to make sort of frequent trips between Johannesburg and Durban to come see his family and friends, and whenever he used to call the house there at where was it again? The old house, he would call the landline and he would say, yes, I'm coming down on Friday night, and I would stay awake the whole night waiting to see the lights of his car pull into the driveway. Bradcroft, that was the house, waiting for him to pull up in Bradcroft, and I would wait to see either the BMW emblem or the Mercedes emblem, or he had that Opel Record. That was one of his first cars. And, despite, we were staying up all night, we would be the first people to wake up and go to the car wash, because Kenny was all about, maintaining an immaculate car, going and visiting his friends and family. And I was always like a little mosquito following him around. He would take me everywhere he was going, whether to go visit Rajan or Les in Chatsworth. I would always be by his side. And, for me, I think I really looked forward to seeing Kenny, and I would spend a lot of my time with him. For me, it would be very sad when he had to depart and go back to Johannesburg, and so there would be points where we had to pack groceries into his car. I don't know why he was always taking 5 kgs of rice, as if Johannesburg never had rice, but he was always packing all these groceries into his car. And we would wash his car before his trip, and then we didn't have USBs or MP3 players back then. He used to have this CD shuttle, and I would sit in his car, choose all the CDs for him, and off he would go. And for me, it was very sad seeing him drive off into the sunset, because he was always leaving in the late afternoon. But I knew there would be a chance for me to see him once again. Then I'd say from 11 to 14 years, there was a point in the time where I had a weak relationship with my dad, and so Kenny, he stood as sort of a father figure or bigger brother to me. And from 11 years old, I was starting to take the bus from Durban to Johannesburg to go visit him. For me, that was always sort of a highlight. to go spend time with this guy. He was always full of laughter and joy, and he really made me feel good. The first bus ticket that someone bought for me was Mark. The name on the bus ticket was Mark Anthony. This is the first time I came across Mark, the new addition to the family. And this bus trip used to be really tiring. We would leave at I think it was 7:30 in the morning, and then get there around 4 or 5, and then Kenny would be there waiting for me at the bus station in Johannesburg, and he was always coming there with a big smile. Hey Mickey, let's go get something to eat. Are you hungry? Have you eaten? Blah blah blah. So he was always a caring figure. He always made sure you had something to drink, you had something to eat, and he always looked after me like that. When we got to his house, it was always a fun time. His house was full of music. It was always lively. He always loved cooking. We were either doing braais, or he was trying to get some recipes from Ma, trying to better her cooking. And he had a real big passion for cooking. In the evenings, we would drive around Randburg looking for the latest pool bars and the nightclubs, etc. And he always tried to make it a fun time. By the time I turned 15, 16, that was when my dad passed away, and that's Kenny and my mother. They were very generous to allow me to move to Johannesburg and stay with him. He always treated me like a son there. He never really treated me like an outsider. We did anything he was doing in his personal time. He always included me. I would say this sort of interaction and staying with Kenny was, the start of my business training. Every weekend we would go to the Forsberg and the Oriental Plaza, and he would, he would always, try and negotiate with the guys on, the different herbs he's buying, like danya or curry leaf, bring down the price, or, if he's buying fake DVDs or fake pair of jeans, so this was sort of my first training and negotiation. He was also my first accounting teacher. I never really had a passion for accounting, and now I'm an accountant today. I always wanted to do physics or become an engineer, but he sort of helped me get along my accounting studies, and he spent a lot of time teaching me more commercial methods around accounting. And not a lot of his teaching ways were very well followed, and so every time I went back to the teacher or school, they always say, "Who's teaching you all these things?" And and I'll say, "No, it's my uncle." And the other students would turn around and say, "Who's your uncle? Why is he so famous?" I started to do really well in accounting. But I think for me, during this 15, 16 years, I was very rebellious back then. I didn't really care about school. I just, I wanted to do sport. But Kenny spent a lot of personal time and energy, helping me during this middle part of my school career. I remember he told me he went onto Gumtree to find all these study guides for me, because I was getting very bad marks in school, 40%. And he was trying to teach me all these subjects, and he went around and bought these study guides. I think in the end that was basically what helped me pass my career, because I never really followed what the teachers were saying, and these study guides that Kenny bought me was basically my savior to school, and it's what helped me pass my matric. I think Philip also used them religiously, but I think Kenny taught me a lot of disciplines, but I think the biggest discipline and where he had the biggest impact on my life is, he always taught me that, no matter where you come from or whatever, the biggest discipline is that hard work beats talent any day. And so, as Rajan said, he worked his way up from the bottom, and he really made an impact in those organizations he worked at. Because I stayed with him and I spent a lot of time with him, I had the privilege of meeting his colleagues and all his superiors and bosses at Colgate, and there was never a doubt that that organization held him in high regard. They always spoke highly of him, be it his colleagues or his bosses. I've met all his bosses. They always said Kenny has the best work discipline. He was a very strict conductor with his staff. and he was really well regarded in the business field. I mean, I've worked with really senior guys, in the international phase, and there's no one that I can say has, that's come from the bottom without sort of any degree or anything, that has that level of business acumen that Kenny had. And so I kind of practice that every day, that, you just have to work hard and get through it, and, you'll become successful. You don't have to worry about qualifications, etc., or whatever, if you come from a rich family, but it's all about hard work and determination. I think for me, I would always say Kenny was, really successful, but I think if I try to define what does success mean for someone, it's not really about the money or the material accumulation that they've had throughout their life. For me, it's sort of the impact that they have on the people that they deal with, and sort of the legacy they leave behind. And for me, I can say, as someone that didn't really grow up with a father, and I was a bit lost, in a large part of my life. Kenny somehow, he helped me, onto the proper and narrow path, and he really had a big influence in my life. And for that, I can say, he really helped me, and he made a big impact. I mean, there's nothing I can really say to really, give him more thanks than that. But, he really impacted my life in a positive way. So in his last journey, I say good luck, and, maybe we see each other at another point in time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Dear family and friends, we have our final tribute this evening, and it's my pleasure to call upon Mr. Colin Dorasamy.
A very good evening to one and all of you. Having seen the funeral on live stream, it brought so many tears, so many memories, so many thoughts. And Kenny, I always say he was more Dorasamy than a Ganesh. Every member in our family knew him, and from the elders to the kids, everybody knew Kenny. And like Raj says, his passion was Tamil. I think he got that from his father. A great man. I'll get to that. But physical pain, having been through what I've been through in the last 2 weeks, yes, we can overcome. But it's the mental torture. Mental torture is something that very few can handle. And it is my understanding that after Kenny lost the little girl, that is when he couldn't handle that mental torture. When Cecil, Basil, and I went to Joburg, we met Kenny, and we went out that evening, and he was never the same person. He was fighting God. He was arguing with God. Why did you have to take away my child? And even though you say, okay, you can move on, you can have another child, he says, no, it is not possible. How do I have another child? And that loss to me was, he overcame lupus and in 2010, etc. But when he lost the child, he lost his mind. And we just want to make certain, with our beliefs in reincarnation, that the soul today leaves us, and one day, when another child is born, that soul will return. And our duty is to make certain that the soul, which has endured so much of pain, goes in a very peaceful manner, so that in his next life, Kenny would be much more at peace. And when we talk about reincarnation, yes, it does exist. It's only when the child is born we fail to ask, and what is your name? Because the child has memories of his previous life. But we are so excited when the child starts to talk that we forget the most important question. Who are you from your previous life? And the child would answer you. Such is my memories of him. Like Raj says, whenever he spoke to us on the phone, even recently, he was coughing. I said, Kenny, don't smoke. He says, what else do I do? That is mind of the matter, you see. He loved Tamil, and it brings me to this very, very important point. Kenny's name, Sreenivos, Uncle Ganesh, he was a Tamil scholar, and the movie came out in 1966. And the person that sang the song was a person before TM's time, Sreenivos, yeah. And so if that movie came out and the song was so lovely in that era, to me, he would have named Kenny Sreenivos purely because of that particular singer who sang Kalangalil. And this is the song that I want to tell you about, or sing a few lines of it. Because this song, it was, in the movie, it was between Gemini Ganesan and K.R. Vijaya. But she had left and she didn't come back home, or whatever the case was. And here, if we put it in perspective, Kenny and the little daughter, then it will make a little more sense to you. It speaks of a person who is dumb. How do you get to understand the inner stories from a person that cannot speak? Okay, so here's what the song actually, I'll end off with this, with a few lines. நிலவே என்னிடம் நெருங்காதே நீ நினைக்கும் இடத்தில் நான் இல்லை மலரே என்னிடம் மயங்காதே நீ மயங்கும் வகையில் நான் இல்லை நிலவே என்னிடம் நெருங்காதே நீ நினைக்கும் இடத்தில் நான் இல்லை ஊமையை கனவை யார் அறிவார் ஊமையை கனவை யார் அறிவார் என் உள்ளத்தில் கதவை யார் திறப்பார் மூடிய மேகம் கலைய முன்னே நீ பாடி வந்தாயோ நீ பாடி வந்தாயோ. If the child had to sing for him. வெண்ணிலவே நிலவே என்னிடம் நெருங்காதே நீ நினைக்கும் இடத்தில் நான் இல்லை அமைதியில்லாத நேரத்திலே அமைதியில்லாத நேரத்திலே அந்த ஆண்டவன் என்னையே படைத்து விட்டான் அமைதியில்லாத நேரத்திலே அந்த ஆண்டவன் என்னையே படைத்து விட்டான் நிம்மதியிழந்தேன் நான் அலைந்தேன் நிம்மதியிழந்தேன் நான் அலைந்தேன் நிலையில் முன்னையே தூதுவிட்டார் நிலவே என்னிடம் நெருங்காதே நீ நினைக்கும் இடத்தில் நான் இல்லை. Go well, Kenny. You're now with your daughter.
Ladies and gentlemen, just to mention that the Ganesh family As an humble request to each and every one of you to please partake in the refreshments that has been especially provided for you at the dining hall. May you have a safe journey home. Nandri, vanakkam.
அழகுள்ள மலர் கொண்டு வந்து அழகுள்ள மலர் கொண்டு வந்து